Welcome to the iSchool's instructional video on writing clearly. This video was developed by Lindsay McNiff, updated by Navroop Gill and Anna Standish, redesigned and narrated by Victoria McCauley, and led by Kathleen Schaefer. Clarity is the most important characteristic of good academic writing. A clearly written paper communicates ideas more effectively and makes life easier on the reader. In a well-written paper, the ideas, as well as the sentences themselves, are clear and easily understood by the reader. A clearly written paper is a well-structured paper. Most graduate-level papers need an introduction, a thesis, topic sentences, transition phrases, body sections, paragraphs, and a conclusion. We will explore each structural element individually. The introduction. Your introduction leads your reader into your paper. It is the first paragraph of your paper and should introduce and prime the reader to understand your argument. The introduction should mention any relevant framing literature and present your thesis. The thesis. Your thesis should be stated as close to the first paragraph as possible, ideally at the end of the first paragraph. Your thesis should explain what your paper will argue, describe how you will form your argument, act as a map for your reader, outline your points, and be appropriately specific and complex. The topic sentence. To help your reader, consider starting each paragraph with a topic sentence that introduces the theme of that paragraph. Topic sentences should sit near the beginning of each new paragraph and help your reader make connections between points. Transition phrases. Consider adding structure by transitioning between paragraphs. Transition phrases typically sit before your topic sentence at the beginning of a new paragraph. They can increase your paper's organizational clarity and add continuity to your argument. You can do your reader a favor by helping them make connections between points in your paper. Body sections. Flesh out your ideas in sections rather than paragraphs. The traditional 5-paragraph essay structure is actually quite limiting because it places constraints on how much space a writer can use to develop an idea. While each paragraph should focus on one idea, you may require more than one paragraph to explore that idea fully. You may end up using 3 paragraphs to explore 3 different dimensions of one idea. This is perfectly acceptable and encouraged. Each paragraph or group of paragraphs will focus on a single topic. If you feel yourself starting to shift to a different topic, that topic should probably be the focus of a separate paragraph or a new section. Each section should make a different point that is somehow related to your thesis. Avoid making the same point in different sections of the essay. If 2 separate paragraphs or sections seem similar, ask yourself, have I made this point already? If so, consider possibly combining the 2 paragraphs. But this does not mean you should never bring up a previous point. Repetition. Some repetition will help your readers stay on track and remind them of the points they may have forgotten. Remember, using a previous point to develop or clarify new ones is a great strategy, but developing the same point twice is redundant. Paragraphs. Make sure that each paragraph is adequately developed and contains enough information to actually be a paragraph. Each point in your paragraph should support the topic sentence of its section. If your paragraph is too short, return to your notes and check if there is a point that you can add to the paragraph. Consider adding examples to illustrate the information you were trying to convey in that paragraph, using quotations or paraphrases from your research sources, or providing more specific details. If you're stuck, more research might be required to flesh out the idea. Or perhaps the idea should not be included in the paper at all. Don't waste a paragraph developing an irrelevant point. Always ask yourself whether the paragraph actually helps to develop, support, or clarify your thesis. Make sure that each paragraph stands up to the question, so what? If you can't make a case in your own head for including a piece of information, chances are your reader will recognize that it's an unnecessary point. Your writing needs to be clear at the sentence level. This means that the writing should be straightforward so that the reader doesn't need to reread what you wrote in order to understand your point. Grammatical correctness and appropriate punctuation are components of smooth writing, but the style of your writing is also important. Certain errors in academic writing are easily avoided if we simply watch out for them. Clear writing involves eliminating wordiness, avoiding stock phrases, rewriting and editing, phasing out cliches, removing the passive voice, and demonstrating appropriate formality. We will explore these strategies in the following slides. First, we will look at wordiness. You may have seen comments such as wordy or awkward on some of your past academic work, and you are certainly not alone. When writing in an academic context, it can be tempting to write in an overly long-winded style and use impressive-sounding words. Whenever possible, avoid using extra words or complicated sentences for stylistic effect. Rather than impressing the reader, needless wordiness will simply frustrate your reader and confuse your point. Many writers use excess wording, also known as stock phrases, when a simpler word would suffice. When editing your paper, try to look for spots where a single word could be used to replace multiple words. Because, although, and when are only a few of the words that can be used to tighten your writing. Examples of stock phrases are included on the slide in front of you. Instead of writing, by virtue of the fact, try because. Instead of regardless of the fact that, try although. And instead of under the circumstances in which, try when. Take a look at this sentence. Due to the fact that social inclusion is an important issue in today's society, social inclusion for the purpose of creating equality in the library is an ongoing concern that is being continually dealt with by members of the library information field. This sentence actually makes a very simple point, but when faced with a sentence like this, most readers will become exhausted very quickly. The version on the right side of the slide is much better. Social inclusion is an ongoing concern for library and information science field. Always reread and edit your sentences to ensure that they read smoothly and are not unnecessarily tiring for the reader. A simple point should never be buried under complicated language. Like unnecessarily wordy sentences, cliches are filler phrases that don't say anything specific about your argument. While cliches are perfectly appropriate for everyday speech or letter writing, They sound unprofessional and boring in academic writing or creative writing. Here are some examples of cliches. In this day and age, without a doubt, in today's society, at the end of the day, and needless to say. Instead of using a cliche, write exactly what you mean, even if you feel like you're over-explaining. Avoiding cliches will help you develop your own voice as a writer, rather than relying on overused language. Saying what you mean as clearly as possible involves conciseness, but it also involves precision and strength. Make sure that you are using the best possible words to get your point across. For example, if you're tempted to use the word thing, think for a moment about what you are actually describing. Does thing actually describe a benefit, an aspect, or a trend? There is always a better word than thing. Another symptom of weak sentence construction is the overuse of the passive voice. Passive voice is sometimes tricky to recognize because, like many examples of wordy or weak writing, there's nothing grammatically wrong with it. Passive voice involves hiding the acting word in a sentence after the action. Usually, when you find instances of the word to be in writing, you're dealing with the passive voice. In this sentence, the vicious cat is doing the hindering, meaning that the vicious cat is the subject of the sentence. The first version has hidden the cat near the end of the sentence. Move the subject to the front of the sentence and eliminate the to be verb, and you have a stronger sentence. Academic writing should be appropriately formal. Avoid the use of contractions, and to maintain formality, avoid emotional language in academic writing. Remember that the goal of academic writing is to present your argument clearly and rationally. Emotional language is more likely to cause your argument to sound biased and irrational, rather than to convince your reader of your assertion. Usually, judgmental subjective language like horrible, disgusting, out of this world, or evil are too strong for academic writing. These are the references used in this presentation. If you're still feeling stuck, the University of Toronto has programs that can help. Try visiting the links presented on the slide in front of you. The Faculty of Information and Robarts Library have a great team of professionals here to help you with your writing, research, and citation questions. For quick reference, you can visit the Inforum, visit our website, or reach us by telephone and email. Robarts has in-depth reference help available to University of Toronto students. Their Ask Us desks can help with quick reference questions, and librarians are available by consultation, email, telephone, and their website. You can connect with the Inforum online, over the phone, via email, or on Facebook and Twitter. This concludes the Writing Clearly tutorial. Thank you.